Good day, Junior Techies. Welcome to this video on our cellular respiration section. We're going to be dealing with the worksheet question 2 in this video. My name is Mr. P. I'm doing this section with the students, Junior Techies. So this is hopefully going to help you better prepare for your final exams and how to approach very specific questions that you might encounter. How to do that question analysis, make sure you know what the question's asking you so that you can write down the most correct answer to what's actually being asked. Okay, so you'll see that question 2 here deals with biological terminology. This is maybe not the first time you've seen a question like this, but let's go through this one specifically. This is part of the worksheet that I've put out as part of the Junior Techies worksheets, particularly in this one dealing with cellular respiration. So these are just examples of what you could come across in a question like this in cellular respiration, or those questions that deal with cellular respiration. Okay, so we do a question analysis quickly. We have a look and we see here that we need the biological term. It's not talking about a sentence, it's talking about a term. So we need to make sure we are answering the question as it is being asked. So we need to make sure we write down the best biological term that can be described by the question that we are being asked. It says write only the term next to the question number in your answer book. Okay, great. So if we start with that understanding and we look at question 2.1, we see here that it refers to the process during which glucose is converted to pyruvic acid. Now remember, we're dealing with cellular respiration, and if we know this process well, and we should by now, these are just practice questions to get us ready for our final formal assessment, we'll know that glucose is converted to pyruvic acid in the early stages of cellular respiration, and that is the process of glycolysis. So if we look at the biological term in which this fits, I would say that this fits beautifully into glycolysis, and I'm going to write that up there in the top right. So question 2.1 we have as being glycolysis. Looking at 2.2, the reagent used to test for the presence of carbon dioxide. So here we're looking at the test for carbon dioxide, but now specifically referring to the reagent. Now, you need to ask yourself this question: what is the test for carbon dioxide? Well, if carbon dioxide is present, clear lime water turns a milky color. So in this case, question 2.2 has to deal with the reagent, and that is the lime water. Okay, so if we're looking at the terminology there, we're looking at the substance lime water. Brilliant. Question 2.3. The acid that accumulates in the muscles of humans during continuous, strenuous physical activity. Continuous, strenuous physical activity. Now, I think in general terms, we'll know that we think we know what this answer is, and that's lactic acid, because we've heard it used in many contexts. In our study of cellular respiration, lactic acid is the byproduct or one of the products of cellular respiration when not enough oxygen is present. So you'll know that in anaerobic respiration, the product is lactic acid. And this says continuous, strenuous physical activity. So we can assume here they're referring to anaerobic respiration because it's continuous and strenuous. And therefore, I'd be quite confident in saying that we're looking for lactic acid as an answer here. Okay, let's move on to question 2.4. The gas which is essential for the Krebs cycle to occur. Now, if we know our process well, we'll know that even in glycolysis, there isn't a gas that is necessary for glycolysis to take place. And if we know the Krebs cycle, the second phase of cellular respiration, there's also no gas really directly related to the Krebs cycle. But I'm not going to have my acetyl-CoA enter the Krebs cycle unless there is oxygen present for oxidative phosphorylation, that last process of cellular respiration. So in anaerobic respiration, which is the respiration where oxygen is not present, the process ends with glycolysis, the very inefficient production of ATP or energy, and I'm going to form lactic acid at the end of the day. So in order for this acetyl coenzyme A, which is a chemical molecule that is produced from pyruvic acid, which actually enters the Krebs cycle, that does not happen unless oxygen is present. So in this case, question 2.4, I would say the gas that is being asked for here is oxygen, because now we're moving from anaerobic or an anaerobic process to an aerobic process in cellular respiration, of which the Krebs cycle is a part of. Right, looking at question 2.5 now, we'll see that 2.5 says to us, the folded structures found on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Folded structures on the inner membrane. Now, if you've looked at theory video 1 of this section that we did earlier, and you understand the structure of the mitochondria, the folded structures on the inner membrane, or of the inner membrane of the mitochondria, we refer to as the cristae. So that would be what they want there as an answer. Question 2.6, we're looking for the stage of aerobic respiration that releases carbon dioxide. So aerobic respiration, we should know by now, encompasses glycolysis, which moves into the Krebs cycle, which feeds into the oxidative phosphorylation, which is the third cycle. So the stage over there, one of those three, is going to release our carbon dioxide. Now I know, junior tuckies, you've studied your work well. You should know that carbon dioxide is a product in the Krebs cycle. Okay, so we're looking for the Krebs cycle, and we know we are looking for a stage. So it's one of those three, and we have the Krebs cycle as being one of those three. Question 2.7. Genetic material found in the mitochondrial matrix. The genetic material, so if we look at any type of genetic material, working from grade 10 up to grade 11 to grade 12, you'll learn about genetic material, and particularly in grade 10 you looked at DNA and RNA, so you know it's either DNA or RNA, and if it's found inside of the mitochondria, here we're looking for mitochondrial DNA, and we can use the abbreviation mtDNA here, or we can write out mitochondrial DNA. Okay, but that is very, very important for us to reference the fact that it is not just DNA, it is mitochondrial DNA. Okay, we need to make that reference. All right, question 2.8. Stage during aerobic respiration when water is released as a waste product. And here again, you'll see we're referring to a stage during aerobic respiration. So that means we're looking for one of those three: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, or oxidative phosphorylation. And let's look at the context of this question. It says stage during aerobic respiration where water is released as a waste product. Now, if we go back to our chemical reaction of cellular respiration, we'll know that one of the products of aerobic respiration is water, but where in those three chemical processes of aerobic respiration is actually water produced, or where's water actually produced here? So if we go back to our understanding and we work through each of those processes, you'll see that oxygen becomes extremely important in oxidative phosphorylation, because after the energy has been released from those highly energized hydrogen ions that are passed from carrier to carrier on the inner membrane, water becomes the byproduct. That hydrogen combines to oxygen to form the H2O as being one of those products. And that's going to happen in oxidative phosphorylation. So that's the answer that's being looked for there, or that's required there. Right, question 2.9. The chemical process, or a chemical process, or chemical processes in organisms which are controlled by enzymes. All chemical processes, whether they be catabolic or anabolic, that means building up or breaking down, our chemical processes in all organisms can be referred to as the organism's metabolism. Okay, so this could have been quite a tough question here, because it relates to cellular respiration and how we break down glucose to release energy. We are metabolizing. Okay, so we're going to write this down as metabolism. So there's a tricky question. one that could be a little bit vague if we didn't quite know our work well. So in practicing questions like this, it gives you a much better chance at doing well at the end of the year. So question 2.9 could have been a tough one for us, but we got it down as metabolism. Brilliant. Question 2.10, the organelle in which respiration takes place. Now we're looking for an organelle. Respiration, organelle, we need to link that straight away to the mitochondria, which we've learned quite a lot about. All right, Junior Tucky, so these are only 10 questions of some of the possibles that you might get at your end of year exam or any one of your formal assessments. But the more of these that you practice, that you see, the better you're going to do at the end of the year when it comes to your final exam paper. So Junior Techies, I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you've got a better insight. I've given you a little bit to think about here. Do make sure you get your hands on the worksheet as well as the worksheet memorandum, just to practice a couple of those questions, to work through them again, have a look at where you make your mistakes, fix up, go back and look at the theory if you need to. But it has been a pleasure. I do hope to see you again in some of the future video lessons. Have a good afternoon.